What's going on, everybody? This is Bohemia Tech Talk. This is your host, man. How y'all doing out there? If y'all see me, look at this pretty face. This is your guy, Mike Baker, your number one host. I ain't gonna say number one.
I mean, it's
One
all
of the
good, man. I
co-hosts.
don't take it personal, man.
My other
all
co-host,
good.
per usual, is my guy, Mike Bennett. There we go. What's going on, man?
Nothing, man. Listen, I'm all good with being number two, bro. Like, ain't you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
I ain't want to put you
So
on
look,
a
look.
Ouija, yo.
I'm saying, listen, two don't mean less or best. It just means next, man.
Yeah,
That's all.
True.
So we good with that. I'm fine. Look, it's Mike B number one over here and Mike B number two. So, well, other than that, man, I'm chilling. I'm doing pretty good, man. Just had a again, I don't want to say a nice day at work. That'd be a lie. It was work, but we are here now, and we ready to jump in. Y'all know what we do here.
Yeah. I kind of weary of people that talk about how much they love work. You know, work is work. It's not work. It's not supposed to be play.
That's a drone.
And with us, man, special guest that we got here today. My guy Wayne Stewart. What's going on, Wayne? How you doing?
Ain't nothing. Just hanging out, just hanging out pretty much.
Introduce yourself to the folks out here because they may not know, your background.
Okay.
Give us like a quick 30 seconds.
All right, quick 30 seconds. So obviously Wayne Stewart. I'm the owner of Stewart Design Agency. We actually build custom websites, web applications for clients pretty much around the country. We have 3 major clients we service now. One's here in Baltimore, where we're based out of. Another one's in Atlanta. We have another one on the West Coast. So we're just trying to grow the company out. We're obviously, completely Black owned. One of the big things I wanted was a quality Black owned, a quality company that just happened to be Black owned.
Right.
And that's kind of what we ended up doing. We're certified minority business in the state of Maryland. We're also an MBE and DBE business, and all that stuff just means we can bid on state level contracts. So that's what we do. In the meantime, when I'm not trying to do all the website stuff, I'm running around trying to relive basketball days. Like I can still hoop, play basketball. I used to play basketball in college, even though I'm only 5'8". People laugh and say, "How you play basketball in college? You're 5'8". I'm like,
so you ain't never
I can hoop. I can go. So I can hoop. Still running around doing that.
I'm saying, you talk about that 5'8" stuff till they get Jade.
Yeah, right.
They get it. They get in that eyeball right there. They're like, dang, he can really play. So, still doing that. Just had a new baby on the way. Me and my wife just had a little baby, so that's
congratulations.
I'm super tired. Between my 6-year-old and the new baby, it's just been crazy at the house. So so that's pretty much what we are, and that's wanted to come chop it up with y'all, and go from there.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you being here. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, we'll get you here more than once. We're going to talk about that, plot on that, might have to schedule in. We all busy folks here. But yeah, man, if y'all listen to the show before, and y'all know the show, you know what it is. It's Bohemia Tech Talk. Talk about technology from our perspective. Let's talk about the topics that we have today. Last time I read the topics off. I'm not going to do that this time because that took a lot of time. I'm just going to jump into the topics. So first topic that we have is about Apple software updates and how it's letting users create a burner email address. And that on the article, you'll have it on the links. It'll actually show you how to do it. But personally, I just want to get into this whole idea. I just want to give my feedback on it. I ain't even going to read on the article. My feedback is that, Apple is really trying to put a stance on this idea of being the privacy company. I noticed that, they have this application, it's essentially a email, what do you call it, like a blacklist or whatever. You can essentially create like an artificial email system. They did that same thing with their Apple Card service, where you can create these dummy credit cards. There's a service called privacy.com where you can essentially do the same thing, but Apple sort of went in on it where, you can have your debit card on the Apple Wallet. And if you went out to like Amazon or you went out to like Walmart.com or something, you could just have you can have the card in the background. You can have the card. I think I hear your audio in the background.
Sorry,
but you can have the you can have the card being used as a one-time thing. So like it's a fake dummy card. You only use it for that service. If you feel like cutting that service off, you don't have to like go and remove your card or anything. You just cut it off on the Apple Wallet app. And that's effectively the same that they're trying to do here with this burner email address thing. That's what I'm assuming. For the other people, everybody else, what do y'all think? What do you think? Because
I think honestly, man, so y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the whole, burner email and this and this, it comes from, so we've seen, we're old enough where we've seen like the evolution of the internet, right? And we know what it was like at one point in time when it was like everything started to open up and it was a wild, wild west. We had to add, we actually had, remember we had the ad blocker and all that stuff like that. So we've seen all that. And when I hear burner email, I feel like for me personally, I don't know if y'all feel like this, but like the idea, just that terminology comes from like a different school of thought when it comes to the internet, like somewhat of a, I don't want to say a dark place, but you think about a burner. Yeah, I'm saying I got a burner phone. A burner phone usually is for so having burner, giving access to people that have burner email addresses. I feel like you kind of open up. You open up a can of worms that they probably wasn't, maybe anticipating, because you got to think that we already to some degree have a difficulty handling spam, right? I didn't. One of my email addresses got like 50,000, literally like 50,000 emails in it. I'm at this point where I feel like I'm gonna just give it. I don't even want to check it out no more. You know what I mean? Like, but you think about giving some people having access to be able just to have different emails to do different type of things. I think it's one of those ideas. I feel like somebody sat in the back office was like, this sounds like it'll be a pretty good idea. Like you were saying, they want to be like the head honchos when it comes to privacy and stuff like that. But they intend what they
like the
also do
dealers.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Like but they open up they open up something where it causes a completely different issue. And it's just honestly, it's just a classic case when I hear this stuff of like, something starting off as like it's deemed an illegitimate practice that soon down the line it becomes monetized by a bigger company and promoted as a good thing. I mean, how many times have we seen this in the history of business, especially in America? You know what I mean? Like I know in the article it talks about like you're able to have the burner email functionality, but it comes with a price. You know what I mean? Just as much as at one point in time, we all know the whole thing when it comes to the whole cannabis epidemic, right? Like, oh, it was such a bad thing. Now we in this thing where all the people were still they're still in jail for it, right? They're still in prison to have time for it and stuff like that. They're now selling it. You feel what I'm saying? So I feel like it's in that same vein of when bigger companies get a hold of like an illegitimate practice and try to find a way to legitimize it for profit. This is a classic case of that, honestly.
Yeah. Wayne.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it just sounds like Apple's trying to make a buck. I mean, okay, so Apple will pay you to have a fake account. Right. I mean, why just go make a fake account? Why I just go Google, go make myself a fake account? Okay, cool, done. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it just seems like this Apple's trying to nickel and dime you for everything. Like they're trying to be this privacy company.
Where it's like where they know they can't solve the problem, so they just trying to come up with an answer for it. It's like instead of even trying to figure out how to deal with it, they just saying we're gonna just make this shady situation. We just gonna work around this shady situation. They ain't gonna like help resolve it at all.
It's just for their users. They're doing it just for the users to make them feel like, oh, we have some sort of security. That's all they're doing it for. And then, hey, while we're doing it, let's just charge them $1 or so to do it. That's all this sounds like to me. Because if you really don't want to use your information, you'll just use some fake information there anyway. You'll use some email address you made up on Google, and that's it. I mean, come on.
People gonna find a way to swindle, man. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, they just trying to find a way to make it.
Hey, listen, I mean, come on. They had he was locking people down. He said so. I got this whole spill I have when it comes to like cannabis and stuff like that. I keep going back to that, but it's like same thing. People was like getting locked up for it. Mm-hmm. They're like, man, people ain't gonna stop smoking weed. Let's just make it legal. Let's really start charging on a So
I just seen some people. I don't know. I think it must be the feedback. I keep cutting y'all off, bro. But I just seen the some vice thing where they giving away heroin and cocaine because they rather like give it away instead of having people do fentanyl by mistake. I mean, that would be so they like they working their way to making heroin and cocaine a legal product so that they can have it FDA approved. Yeah, you know, and it's stuff like the quality Ron, you know.
It's just like back in the 1920s, right? When they try to do prohibition and alcohol, right?
Yeah.
And they created this whole huge underground behind it. People were making a ton of money off of it, and the government was like, okay, people ain't gonna stop drinking, so we just gonna make it legal and we're gonna tax it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's all they did. That's all they do. That's the same thing. We'll tax it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's all they did. The same thing they did with weed and cannabis. They were like, look, niggas ain't gonna stop it. So guess what we're gonna have to do? We'll make it legal.
And that's the thing. Like that's what it is with the internet. So like, because it is such a deregulated system. It's like the only people that are regulating are companies, and they're like, you know what, we just going to come out with a campaign to make a buck. We're going to keep this system all wide and open so that it's broken, and we're going to pay for the fixes. You know what I mean? We're going to charge for the fixes. If you want a email system that works, that isn't always spamming you, we'll give you a way that'll solve that for like $9.99 a month or whatever.
Exactly.
That's essentially what this is, and Apple is taking this step with it. Like I said, it reminds me of the card system that they have in place, because I use privacy. I like privacy because of that privacy.com. I don't even like the fact that I just y'all gotta add somewhere.
I said that last time, man. We doing advertising for
I got you. I mean, you know what? I like it. I'm moving on. You ain't get no more from me. I mean, next topic. But next thing we got to be talking about is Clearview AI.
Boys.
How they dropped the subpoenas on their critics. If y'all don't remember us talking about this a while ago, I want to say that it was Peter Thiel, but it might have not been Peter Thiel. But there was a company called Clearview a while back. I want to say like late October 2020 or something like that. They got, I guess it wasn't like subpoenaed. It might have been subpoenaed themselves by like Google, Apple, Microsoft, Facebook.
I think you could say they just got exposed. They
got exposed.
When it got, it was brought to light that this company exists.
I mean, that they were taking all the pictures and taking everybody's public picture and doing facial recognition and identification and storing all that stuff. And like, it was because it was public data, they technically felt like they had the right to do it. It was just available. And then they, all the other agencies were just like, please stop doing this before we have to get the law involved.
Exactly.
Apparently the law got involved. So at this point, based on this article, because of the criticism of all the stuff that they were doing, and the whistleblowers to their situation, Clearview ended up subpoenaing those critics, those people, the ones that were actually letting it be known what they were doing.
It's trying to countersue. I just think is the thing funny, man, because it's like I said, this is another like you said it. When it comes to this internet thing, World Wide Web, it's heavily deregulated, and it's interesting because people they really don't know how like deregulated it actually is. Like we all know here that a lot of, like, for instance, we search something on Google, the amount of pages that come back is only maybe about 5 or 10% of the actual web pages in the world. There's a whole bunch of the dark web, deep web. So you don't know how much stuff is deregulated. But the fact is, like, here you have someone that tries to take advantage of the deregulation, and then the people who feel uncomfortable with, the people who are trying to take advantage, they call them out, and then the people who are being called out, they're trying to say, no, you can't call this out. It's a bunch of like wish-washes going on when it comes to this. But you think I feel like we talked about this before, Mike, on a moral side. Like, the average person doesn't really like the idea of having their picture, although, like you said, they give it away publicly, right? Facebook, Twitter, IG, all these social media places, they give it away publicly. But the idea that there's a company that, remember we reported out that in the article that we did, it was like you try to go to Clearview, it's like a page that it's just
it was like a one page.
It's like you have to have pretty much you have to have access to be able to act. It was one of those things. But the idea there's a company out there that's taking all of your like information, your pictures, and doing facial recognition of it. Like any person will feel typically uncomfortable with that, unless you're like a conspiracy theorist and you're like, the government knows everything anyway. Like you probably like, okay, whatever. But me personally, I just like, the fact that even that I have kids, you know what I mean, doing all this stuff, exactly. You never know what people are doing behind the scenes. So I think it was just a matter of time, man, before we get into this battle of wish wash where it's like, it reminds me of that meme. Y'all seen the meme where it's like the multiple Spider-Mans and they like pointing at each other. It's happening. It's like they like called down, like, no, it's like you, and they're like, no, shit. That's exactly what's going on with the Clearview thing, man.
Clearview sounds well. So it's kind of the first time I've heard about this before, but it's the first time I'm hearing about the Clearview company themselves. It sounds like to me that a lot of these companies in their brains, they have the good idea of what they could use facial recognition to do. We can do all this stuff, but the reality of it is the average person does not want to have their face in some database where it can be analyzed at a drop of a hat. Now, like, just like Mike was saying, we know we give all our information away on Twitter and Instagram and all the other places, but to have it somewhere where I can actually be out and about and a computer can automatically recognize me, that's pretty much next level scary, because now you start profiling me based on where I go, what I do, even though really honestly that's happening now with Google and everything else, but to do it with your face and to do it in real time, that kind of gets scary. So I'm clearly see why they're going to try to do the countersue the people that are actually blowing the whistle on them, because they're like, we're trying to stop them. But yeah, this type of information, that type of technology, I can understand what they want to do, what some of the points for it would be, but in reality, it's just not going to work. It's just not.
Well, let me throw this question back at y'all. Would y'all feel more or less comfortable if this was a government ran operation instead of like a private entity?
You say you feel worse?
Yeah, I feel worse.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah, go ahead. What's your reasons for it, Mike?
No, because I'm comparing it to China, because one of the main things that they were talking about is like it's so part of their government that like you can get traffic tickets while you're walking. Like you could walk the street and you could jaywalk.
You can jaywalk.
By the time you get across the other side of the street, you probably got a ticket getting texted.
You get a ding on your head on your phone.
Yeah.
That's $110. I mean, that's 10,000 yen.
Look, man, you walk across the street, you get a notification like, "Hold on, they just got
me." Yeah, out of nowhere.
Imagine that in the States. Many people. Oh,
that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get it to where you walk across the street, you do something, then you get a notification, push notification on your phone, you're under arrest.
And you know what will happen?
Turn yourself in.
You would never get it because you gave the government your burner number on your with your burner email. So you would never know. They would never know it was you. So
that's hilarious.
That's where we would have to go to. That's the type of that underground state that we would have to go to in this state of information, like this information age.
But most people, I think, really don't understand just how much stuff is really out there on the web that people can do this, and you never will really know, because just like we're saying, the Google only scrapes about 10% of the web. Yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch of other search engines out there that scrape the rest of the web. People always hear about the dark web, but there's so many other websites out there that are created not to be searched by Google. Yeah, so just imagine all that stuff that's out there.
They're only really allowed to display publicly available sites. So that's the thing.
We had that whole thing on my end where cause I got kids, right? Like young kids, and they had that whole situation where it was like some scary. I don't know if y'all seen The Ring. Like you seen The Ring, that whole shit coming out the like TV. They had this thing playing on YouTube Kids where like it would seem like an unassumingly, innocent video would be playing. Then at the end, like this weird looking I guess whatever you want to call it, looks like that will pop up. They ask talking about kids are getting scared, got to get therapy and all that stuff, but that stuff comes up from these places. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm. But that I feel like, but Clearview, they hanging tough because they play around in that's their playground. So
I want you to hold on to that because we got talking about kid apps when you got that YouTube Kids. We want to talk about some of that a little bit in a minute.
Yeah.
Next topic we're going to talk about is about disinformation or misinformation. I like to use the term disinformation in a lot of association with when it comes to my personal identities, but this is about misinformation and how misinformation is about to get a lot worse because of artificial intelligence. This article is from The Atlantic, and this is basically an op-ed from Eric Schmidt. If you don't know Eric Schmidt, he used to be the CEO of Google. He ran it for a period of time while Google was founded by Larry Page and was it Sergey Brin, but they didn't really know how to run the business, so they gave it to Eric Schmidt.
It a business.
Yeah, they didn't know how to make it business for real. So Eric Schmidt ran it for a while, and apparently he used to work for Novell back in like the early 2000s, whatever. But he was talking about how the idea of artificial intelligence coming into the world that we live in with social media today, and how that could essentially propel misinformation even further than what it is today. Talking about it's already easy to spread misinformation and get people to sort of follow it just with general social media. All these are like posts. They're just pictures, words, a couple of videos here and there, and maybe some podcasts, audio and whatnot. But they mostly sending out this misinformation. And people are grabbing onto it and tying themselves to it. And most of these campaigns are done by like farming locations. Like it might be a group in Russia, it might be a group in India, it might be a group in Ukraine. It's always a group in Russia. I mean, it might be a group in China, Bangladesh or something. And they're getting paid to push these agendas against other people, or they may just be doing for a higher, anonymous purpose, whatever, anarchy, general anarchy. And that it's already a campaign that works. We see how it works in past elections and whatnot, and just the state of our governance right now. But how that could be pushed even further with artificial intelligence being around. It basically can do the job of 10 people. This is John Henry versus the machine right here. So, we get into the
Mitchell's
point
Mitchell's versus the Machines for my kids.
Oh, you seen that? Yeah, that's my joint.
Man, Mitchell's versus the Machines is that movie, dude.
Yeah, it is.
All the time.
I gotta see that.
Man, I like this joint. I felt just like, Daddy, you watched it like twice already. I'm like,
it's serious, man, because that's
we ain't really like it. We just watch it because you watching it, Dad.
Yeah, Mitchell vs. Machines is a serious movie, man, because it's serious because I like it. I think it's dope with the art and everything, stuff like that. But it
kind of
go ahead.
Yeah, but it relates back to this because it's like with AI. Well, okay, so here's the reality now. AI is already an integral part of what we do in life. Our phones have AI built into them. Our Netflix is built with an AI algorithm that looks to exactly your preferences. So it's already here. It's not like it's this thing way into the future. I think the problem is becoming that there's no real, everyone has their truth, right? But we don't, there has to be something that we all say, okay, that's the truth, right?
Right.
And this is what we're going to hold as the truth. Everyone's saying what their truth is. And I'm like, but okay, the sky is blue, but they're like, no, it's red. Some people say it's pink. Some people say it's gray. I'm like, it's teal. I'm like, nah, dude.
The sky is actually a reflection. It's really no color.
Exactly. And that's what's happening to the internet right now. We have all these people that are saying all this information and no one's stating what's the truth, what exactly it is. And then you throw in AI that boasts just what's the most popular. It just says, okay, well, hey, this is the most popular thing, and let's just boost that out to everybody. And that's where it can be super dangerous, where now you have something that really wasn't the truth being posted to all these other people, and they're beginning to take that as their truth. And that's what we're really seeing now.
It reminds me of, you remember we did that article before, Mike, when I was talking about, I forgot what it was, but it was like, it was about deep fake videos, and how it was like,
Yeah.
I think one of the pretty much the situation occurred where the deep, like the AI was like starting to read, for the sake of, I mean, pardon all of my white listeners, it's nothing personal, right?
Yeah.
But it started to start to look at all black people the same. Like, this was AI doing this. They're like, hold on, wait a minute, something's going on here, because it can't be, and you think about just the idea of if you put that in the hands of, I would say, a shackled AI. This, of course, it has the ability to learn and do things on its own, but it's only given certain information to make certain decisions. You put that in the hands of the wrong person, that you can start having, start profiling the wrong way. And then we got the whole situation where people are already giving the information away. You can have a whole bunch of, like, these are things, it sounds funny, but this is the type of stuff you see in movies where, suddenly, like, something happens where a certain race or a certain group of people just all start to get mistreated, or, something happens, and it's like, well, what's going on here? And it's because, the way that the AI is functioning, somebody is giving it the wrong information or disinformation, malicious information, to start doing all these type of things that, when it gets to how the masses handle it, they don't know what's going on. They just feel like it's something natural, or, something is occurring, but behind the scenes, someone's actually pulling the strings. And I think that's what is happening here. What we're kind of in danger of when it comes to, like, this whole thing with misinformation, because at the end of the day, someone always has an agenda, right? Even now, the Google would seem like the most unassuming company, but I think they have data on everybody. You know what I'm saying? They're tracking why you go to this place and you can ask for it, right? So there's always a reason for, why information is put out there in the first place. So the fact that we're in the stage where there can be a potential uptick, and it's going to be powered by something that has the capacity to do it 100-fold more than human beings can, is at the least bit, you can say, dangerous.
Yeah.
Well, because some people will say, like, it's already happening. Like, why is this any different? Like, the different, because AI is already driving, like, news feeds, and they drive the Instagram feed. They sort of generate with posts and stuff like that, like, based on what you already like and stuff like that. Like, what they're talking about with this artificial intelligence is, the idea that it could actually be a person or a bunch of people, like, the people that are actually posting could be the AI. So it could be like, at this point, the AI is creating thought and creating the misinformation, not just distributing the disinformation, which is what Facebook is doing. IG, Instagram, they distribute the information using the AI, but this AI is actually creating the
writing the blog
misinformation.
post.
It's writing the blog.
Yeah.
It's writing the post.
No, exactly.
It's writing the post, and then its other AI is distributing it out for them. Yeah, I mean, so, like,
Exactly.
it's like layered on AI, and because just at that point, because if you're talking about a thoughtful AI, that's when they talk in this article about how that part of the AI can distribute itself to different devices. Part of the article that we're reading was about the kid, growing up with a bear. That kid grows up with a bear, and it's an AI bear, and it's learning the kid, how the kid thinks, so that, like, 5-10 years from now, the AI gets older, the bear gets old. I mean, the human gets older, the AI bear gets older, and it has its own thought process in 5-10 years, and it knows what the human likes, and knows what the human kid likes, and at that point, it's starting to talk and recommend things to this person. And they got to a point where they were talking about it, saying, like, the kid could be watching TV one day with the bear could be like, I don't like this show, and then the kid would be like, you know what, I don't like this show either, I think we're gonna watch something else. And that's like, the AI giving the thought and then pushing the human along to that agenda. And the beginnings of that start with creating a thoughtful bot that can post something on social media, and go beyond that. And
it makes you think that, like, it makes you think the idea, like, so like conscious AI that has the ability to discern and, start to pick up some of those what we call human traits of, like, self-preservation and stuff like that. Is I think we're very close to that. Okay, if it's not something that's already going on, and I think that when we get to that point, it reminds, like you said, Wayne, with the whole the Mitchells versus Machines. That started because the cell phone, that bro, you need to check it out. It's so mad cool. You know what I mean? But that's with the phone. Yeah, go ahead.
It's what I'm saying. So the reason why I brought up Mitchells versus Machines because it's a kids cartoon, but it's funny because there's a lot of truth to it. Right. It's interesting because what happens is there's a device that comes out. It's called PAL. PAL is a device just like a normal phone, and PAL is now being replaced by this robot. Right. So that's still the whole story. But PAL gets mad that he's being replaced by this robot, that he ends up taking control of all the robots and taking over the world. And enslaving the humans. Just because the AI in PAL had gotten so smart, it started to feel. And it got mad that now
the creator of PAL, the way it happened is the creator. We don't want to ruin it too much for you, Mike.
I don't want to ruin it too much.
PAL was like, you done. And threw it or whatever the case is. And after that, it was like PAL was in his feelings. It was like, bump that. I'm gonna just take over that, you know what I mean? Prop 2.0 was done.
So it's funny. It's a funny show. It's a funny way you see it. But the reality of it is with AI, now we're getting to the point, just like with the bear scenario, now you're getting to a point where the application can now recommend something to the child. And the child can now say, you know what, I don't really like that. Let's do something else. And the AI will be like, oh yeah, let's do something else. That's where it can get scary because you have to start thinking about there's malicious hackers out there that can manipulate that information and now take that kid and skew that kid a completely different way.
Yeah, I think I was reading them talking about, what if I want a racist bear? What if I'm a racist person and I want my bear to be racist?
Exactly. So imagine now if you can start feeding that AI information, misinformation, and now it's going to trigger back what you've been feeding it. That's when we start getting very, very scary because now we can start doing a lot of different stuff and influence a lot of different people that we can, that you probably couldn't do just by an individual person themselves.
Yeah, true indeed. Yeah, man. Big topics. Let's go on to the next one because that's it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
Y'all know. Like we like the messengers because we can't stop it. So only Busta Rhymes and his Extinction Level event.
not
I'm saying bust a bus, man.
That's a bus.
He warned us. Next topic that we got is about Google. Google's provider of at-home COVID-19 tests is now a $3 billion company traded on the Nasdaq. This topic in general is just it's we'll talk about it. So the company is Q Health, QCUE, like I guess like Q Ball.
Q Balls, I had to.
Yeah. They basically were, I think they started say like 2010. They had this like home self-test thing that you could use. It wasn't big back then. It didn't really fly too well. Nobody really hopped on it. It was in the same realm as that hoop dream that what's her name? Elizabeth something. She's getting sued right now. She's about to go to jail right now. This y'all ever heard of Theranos? Theranos was like this blood detection black box thing that like you could take like a drop of blood and you could find out if you got cancer, AIDS, whatever.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, it was fake,
She didn't even work.
She was running around like a woman, Steve Jobs, pushing this agenda. She had a lot of investors that weren't like silicon investors. They were like, oil investors, finance investors and stuff like that. Wow, so they didn't really know that she was lying to them. And
they ain't see the business plan. They was like, I just need the money. All right, I got you.
I mean, she looked thorough. She had the black neckties and everything, the turtlenecks. Like
Yo,
she looked
it's so
official.
funny. I was just gonna ask what she looked like. I bet you that's why they've oil dudes be like, what she look like? She got it all right? Oh, yeah, let's go with her idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Came in with a French roll and all that.
She tried to get in on the 2.0, you know, the woman's movement, the 2.0 movement. I mean, she was right in there. She was trying to get it. And she had this whole idea for this, essentially this magic box that could figure out your ailments very quickly. And she's getting sued right now, like tomorrow morning. It's probably the case, or it's probably over with. It might have just recently been over with, but I've been hearing about it in the news for like the past week and a half.
This is new. Like, so she while this is going on, she about to serve that time. It's crazy.
Yeah, she about to go in. She about to go in. Yeah, I mean, but
yeah, she going down for that. Them investors are mad and suing. They're taking
she doing time. She doing time. It's
like,
gonna be a long time.
You're lucky we suing.
Yeah, exactly. When you talking that type of money, you just might not be seen no more. You just go missing.
Yeah, them oil companies ain't playing with you. You will come up missing.
Yeah, I mean, you be found on a boat on a yacht somewhere. They say, I don't know what happened.
They'll put you in the oil rig and chop you up, and you ain't never gonna be found again. You'll be oil.
Man. But like this Q Health company, they working with Google. They fortunately have passed the same measures that Theranos could not pass when it came to like verification and validation of this product that they have. But during that time, like I said, through most of it, they couldn't get anywhere with it. They didn't have the sales pitch that Theranos had, and they had real product that they were working on. So, you know, they had to prove it to themselves and to their investors. But it became a big thing in 2020 when COVID became a big deal. And they were available testing platform where you could figure out in 20 minutes or so if you actually have COVID or not. And they've been working for a long time with them, you know, since all of this started. Basically, whenever you hear it about Google working with the, you know, hospitals and whatnot and trying to figure out the COVID resolve, in a lot of cases, it might have been dealing with the testing. You know, they have, you know, Google's a science company, so they have a lot of things that they're working about with it.
They got data.
Yeah, they got data. So like they got their hands in different pots when it comes to health in general. But this idea is something that is potentially coming home because, you know, right now COVID is the big thing, but they want to be able to, you know, figure out normal things like, you know, do you have strep throat? You know, do you got, you know, some type of, you know, ailment that is just something that's easily testable. They have it so that, you know, you for COVID-19, you know, you do the nose swab, you put it in the device, give it about 20 minutes, and you can connect it to your phone app and determine whether you have COVID off of your phone. But what they want to project to do is be able to have it so that you can do that same type of test for whatever else, put it in there and connect it to your doctor. You know, have a virtual care and have them be able to figure out what's going on virtually.
I think that is actually so, you know, with the tech cold war, as we've talked about before, Mike. I mean, you just see that Google, this is another, I feel like, strategic move for Google to position themselves as the powerhouse as far as a business side. But as far as what Q Health got going on, I actually think that's it's a good thing. Some people may feel like it's too intrusive. You know what I mean? Because you can tell all different type of things. Like, oh, I ain't want everybody to know I had the bug. You feel me? But you know that. But I think that overall, you know, so there's actually, for instance, another YouTuber I watch named MTR. He's a pretty cool guy. Shares great thoughts and stuff like that. But he actually put out a video saying that he pretty much within like on Friday, he found out he went in for like a test, like a what is it called? The yearly joint, the a physical. Then suddenly found out he had a malignant, you know, tumor and had to go, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like when it comes to stuff, and you would think that, you know, this guy, he's talking about he's in great health, didn't feel anything, yada yada, but it's like this joint that we found is 99% malignant, you know, so it's definitely, you know, cancer that could spread, and you know, he had to go on for emergency surgery, and that's just an example of many of other things that, you know, that happens too. And you know, I feel like just to have the ability to be able to, you know, be at home and then take like, you know, some people may do their whole like the blood, sticking themselves or something, or even like you said, nose swab, and be able to figure out pertinent information about your health, man, is definitely a game changer when it comes to health. You think about back in the olden days, you just had to, and even now, I mean, to some degree, doctors are still guesstimating. You know what I mean? Like you tell them a certain something, like, well, maybe try this and maybe try that, and but to have it where you're able to bringing together all this, like you said, that's if it ain't one thing that Google was, ain't good for, it's having data, right, to take all this data in from different points and be able to say, like, be able to calculate it and say, all right, these are the issues that you certainly have that need to be resolved. One of the problems that it does have is that humans will probably start to live longer if this is an effective thing, and we already, not to get too much of my conspiracy theory bag,
Population
but
control.
that becomes a problem for the Earth. So I mean, it's good for helping humans out, but as far as the mass plot that some would say of population control, it may not be good.
Yeah, Bill Gates. I love this.
No, but I mean, I think it sounds like a really good idea to me. I mean, to be able to self-prescribe yourself, in the confines of your home, I think that's really good, especially with how COVID is right now. A lot of people just want to know that, if you have those symptoms or something like that, and then you can easily get the test. And if you can send it to your doctor discreetly, through over the net, I think that's that's a pretty good thing. I mean, there could be probably some pitfalls. Or some people that might think, I'd rather go see a doctor, or they might be averse to it. But I think for the most part, it's where society's kind of going, anyways. I mean, like my own wife, she's a nurse practitioner, and she sees her clients all online now. Like all her clients are all online. She just does it through video chat. So we're kind of going that way, anyway. So yeah.
I love it. I love that. I love if I just have a question, a basic question. I love to be able to just talk to them just right there in the video chat. So if I have to make an appointment, go sit in the lobby.
Fill out the paperwork.
You know who I am.
Get charged $2,000. Get charged $2,000. Your health insurance only covers a half. Then you got to come up with a G, and then they say, "Oh, you're fine. Okay, see you later."
Just want you wiggle my arm.
I'd rather just be able to say, "Hey, I felt this way. Here's the here are the results." They can easily scan it and be like, "Okay, yeah, it's good." So I think this is a great thing.
Yeah. I want to see how involved Google gets with this, because Google always been trying to get into health in some aspect, and then they'll backtrack, and then they'll go into a right curve, then backtrack again, right curve. Google is the commercial company for the most part, but they do a lot of stuff with other scientific brands. They may have bought Fitbit, but then they're everywhere. They're everywhere.
Man,
it's just hard to see where they'll
Google's
get
Google's like an octopus. It's just everywhere. It has arms and everything. It always links back to like one or two major things.
Yeah.
But Google's literally everywhere. And the average consumer, I think they're starting to understand how big it is, but they don't really understand. Like, people don't really understand how big Google is. But that's I'll get off topic. I'll get off topic with that.
It's creepy. It's creepy, man. Matter of fact, we're going to stay on this Google topic. Got an article here from Yahoo News. A black Google employee said that he was escorted off the campus by security because they did not believe he worked there, reports say.
Welcome to being black.
Yeah, welcome to being black. The article, I mean, I want to say welcome to being black. I'm kind of mad, but it's like welcome to America, because he is not American. He's not an American by far. So there's that issue. I'm trying to look for his name real quick. I want to say Angel Anua.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I mean.
Yeah. So I want to jump in your first, Wayne.
So here's me. This is for me. I mean, this has been my norm for my 13 years. And are you sure you work here? Are you sure? I've walked through buildings before. I've been in companies before where I've been the only black person in it, and I go down to the lobby or something, and they're like, I go down to the lobby and come back, and they're like, "Who are you?" I'm like,
"Let me see your badge."
Here. Well, let me see your badge. I'm like, in order for me to get in here, I had to show my badge. So,
right.
I mean, this is normal. You have to understand, this is normal for Black people. This is normal what we do, particularly if you're in any type of higher end position. You know what I'm saying? This is normal. I mean, for many parts of my career, and so a lot of the times where I was working for, different companies, I was pretty much one of the only Black people working there, and most of the time they would just be, the security or whoever. After maybe a month or two, they would know, but even after the first month, it'd take a month for them to get like, okay.
That's terrible, man.
I'll tell this. This is I'm gonna tell you a very funny story. We'll go up to this. Yeah. I was working in a company one time. There was 2 Black people in the company, me and another guy. I'm 5'8". The dude is 6'3". At the time, I had a bald head. He had like dreads, right? So one day, our check stubs, they used to give us our check stubs directly at our desks. And by accident, the admin confused us and gave me his check stub instead of my check stub, right?
All Black people.
So I didn't even. Yeah. He's 6'3" and dreads, and I'm bald. He has dreads.
Oh, it's like some Black
and
man.
I'm bald. And it seemed confuses it, but we're not gonna get it. So it's just funny because then she comes back. No, so then I'm opening the my check stub. I'm like, hold on, wait a second. Where my money at? This ain't my little. This is little money. I ain't got no money. What is it? So I look it up and I go, oh, it's dudes. Now the dude is actually my superior. He was like my boss in a sense. I ended up making more money than him, and he's my boss. I was like, oh, these companies crazy.
He ain't get a chance to open yours stuff.
But this is the normal. But this is the normal stuff that a lot of stuff that we go through in the Black community. If you're in tech or you're in corporate America, period, if you have a certain position, but particularly if you're in tech, this doesn't surprise me at all.
It's interesting, man, because so you all have. So I think from what I hear a lot from my friends, and even from you, Wayne, like a lot of people, like Black people, they experience direct racism, whereas I feel like. Well, in the corporate arena, where I feel like with me, it's always been like veiled racism. You know what I mean? So because for a lot of the companies that I've worked for, pretty much Indian, right?
Yeah.
The company I worked for, it was a whole bunch. Like this company, I don't know if I can say it, whatever. Centel, right? There was a company. It was in some. They had some things.
I know Centel.
Yeah, it was an American-based company. But like 80% of the employees weren't just Indian; they were offshore.
Yeah,
right. And so that's already, they're getting paid American money over. It's a whole bunch of regulated. But I feel that what happened with that job and others is like there's like a sense of, an expectation of the work that you would produce, and because they feel like, for instance, with me, there's a type of work that I produce. They hold the whole idea of Black people are lazy and this and this. I would notice that some of my superiors who were Indian, right, like my manager, stuff like that, they would be talking to me in a certain way. This is like, dude, why do you have to? You have to have so many checks and balances in place for things that I do, and or like, and it won't be like in a direct, For instance, I didn't experience anyone saying like, "Oh, do you work here or not?" That's crazy. Like I think, but this idea of you have to do this and this, or getting questioned more about what it is that you do. I'm like, come on, man, like such and such over here. You know what I mean? What's the name I can say? Chad is like, Chad or Bobby over here. You know what I mean? Doesn't have to deal with this, but it's like with me, I'm under so much scrutiny. So I think that looking at the article is just at the end of the day, this is just a reality that we face when it comes to Black people, man. Like it's an unfortunate thing because coming from off of the Trump stint. And even before, I would say before then, this company tries to operate under the auspice that like we're past racism.
Yeah.
Right. Which is mad crazy to think because during the Trump stint, you seen like, he empowered, the people that were, the
Black president.
You know what I mean? So it's the fact that, dude, I feel like at the end of the day, man, you probably sue for that or something. You get some money off that. You don't work for Google and then I got the badge and all that. Listen, hey,
I'll give you a better one than that. This is recently. I used to work for a federal government contracting company. in the Pentagon. I was building a web app for him, and I used to come pretty much dressed like this. I didn't have to go dressed up. I was a contractor. Another guy go in the office. Now I have a top secret security clearance, right? Top secret, right? Took me a year to get it. Polygraph,
Clearview,
all that. Yeah. Right. Took me all that to get, right? So to get into even the office, you cannot get in there without the proper badge and the credentials, all that stuff. We get a call, me and my coworker, who's a white guy, I'm black guy, we get a call from one of the superiors, and they're like, well, there's people that are saying that y'all ain't supposed to be here. And the other guy and the black guy, he looks like he looks like he's the janitor. That's what the guy, they literally said. And my white coworker, he stood up. He was like, hold on, wait a second. He was like, he's the developer. He's hired to be.
Yeah.
He's like, he's the main developer on the contract. He was like, we're here. We have our badges. And it was just, and to be quite frank, it was an older white man who had probably been there for years. It looked like he was in his 60s or 70s. He'd been in the government for years. He probably never seen us, but he just assumed something was wrong.
Some malforms of dementia happening, man.
Right? No, it ain't dementia. It's malforms of racism happening. Yeah. It's malforms. He remembers when brothers were in his place.
Right.
He remembers America, he remembers when America was great.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, we experience this all the time. And so this article isn't surprising to me. I mean, the guy's he's a Harvard graduate. You know what I'm saying? This is normal.
Like I said, he's
pledge alpha.
It's very likely that he's not American. He might very well be American. He might just have, migrated family that gave him his last name. It doesn't say where he's from necessarily.
It doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter where you're from. You're black.
Yeah, right? Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Like, if he was in a, like, if it was an African originated, he would have a different experience. Being in America is a different type of racism that's ingrained in all of culture. Yeah. And no matter, whether your personal life or business. That he does, that he doesn't understand the subtleties of it, where it could come from.
I mean, according to the article, it seems like he did. I think according to the article, it seems like, because they were like, he was right. Because look, he was doing, let me be quite frank, he was doing pretty much what his white counterparts were doing, riding around on their bike, being happy-go-lucky, doing what he do. And they were like,
patties on a hot summer
day. Yeah, even peppermint patties, sitting up, and sitting up having fun with white women. So they were like, hold on, wait a second, brother.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
Oh no, you're not brother. It's hold on, sir.
Wait a second. Are you supposed to be here? Because you're talking to too many white women. This is something going on here.
Yeah.
Too many people you're talking to.
I know I would never be in this situation because I probably wouldn't ever get to Google, for one. I wouldn't want to. I have an issue with wanting to be with like FANG companies. But then also, like, you're not going to catch me happy-go-lucky. You know what I mean? Like, outside of my history. You know what I mean? Like, outside of my, I'm gonna always know where I'm at. I'm gonna know I'm a black man on Google's campus. You know what I mean?
But you ain't gonna catch me getting chummy with no white women.
I'm gonna know where I'm at, and the security guards gonna know me because I'm gonna lean on them before they even get a chance. You know what I mean?
But see,
it's not like make yourself known or anything like that. It's more like, but I don't give people chances. So like even with the company that I was working with for like all those years, even though I'm the only black person, no matter really where any company I'm at, I'm black. I mean, I don't hide it. I mean, I can't hide it.
Well,
so
you shouldn't have.
I don't like make it come off like
I
don't even do the we are the world, we're all one race. I mean, I'm like, no, I'm black. I'm American black. I'm a city boy black. So like,
I'm Baltimore black.
Yeah, I mean, I'm Baltimore black.
Yeah, I go get no blacker than this.
Yeah, I mean, so like, so what I had to go through to get where I'm at. So I mean, I had to go through what y'all, all y'all motherfuckers asking me, is it like The Wire? Yes, motherfucker, it is. I mean, like, and I'm
it's
still
worse.
here. I mean,
It's worse.
It is worse.
It's a portion of the city.
I mean, and I got to where I'm sitting at right next to you. So yeah, this is what it is. I mean, I love you know that, and we try to talk accordingly. I mean, I'll do my due diligence to make sure I'll use my vernacular accurately and all that.
But here's my retort.
I'll switch it on in a second if they try to act like they know.
No, but here's my retort to that, right? And we know that as Black men, we know as Black people that's how we have to act.
Yeah.
The problem is we shouldn't have to.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I should be able to. I should be able to be authentically who I should.
You should be able to be happy-go-lucky. Yeah, I mean,
right. I should be able to be authentically who I am without having to worry about this in the back of my mind. Because let's just be quite frank, our white counterparts are not. They're going to work happy-go-lucky, and they're not worried about nothing. And now we understand it's a reality, but in a corporate structure, that shouldn't be the issue. Mm-hmm. In the streets, we get it. But in the corporate structure where they decide who's there and who's not, like, this gets a little bit off topic. I hate the term diversity coach or diversity person. Right? Listen, that is the dumbest term I've ever heard of in my life. They need a diversity officer to help hire more Black people. Right. You want to get more Black people, go to any HBCU in this country and just go clap your butt out there and hire them.
Yeah,
it's that simple.
Because they don't say it's a culture fit. Then that'll be the next issue.
Listen,
like you want to diversify the culture, but you want the culture to fit.
A part of the reason why it's hard to have a culture fit is because we have access to words that our white counterparts do not have access to. That's what it is. You know what I mean? You can't. They can't say. Even when they try to say certain things, we say it doesn't. That they're disconnected from that part of the culture, if you will, a part of that American culture where because they can't relate and they can't say that word. Okay, so you can't come around. You see, all three of us work at the same company. Yeah, what's up, man? You can't be doing that. And it's like Chad and Bob and Joe over here. They can't chime in with that. So that's why.
I even go a step further. I'm gonna defend my what I usually don't defend, which is my 30% Irish side, right?
So be your retort. Go ahead.
I don't believe we have what we're aspiring to is to have a group of Black America where we can be, go lucky, happy, free,
authentically ourselves.
And like you said, so because Bobby, Chad, and Brad, they all get those same functionalities
and
too.
Addison, yeah.
But at the same time, I know that it is a large percentage of white people that are just gangster as hell. Yeah, I mean they ruthless, corrupt, money grubbing, taking society, killing people, doing the same problems that we have, even to a worse degree. I mean, so like. They getting it just like anybody else getting, and they gangster. I mean, I used to know CEOs that coming in here. I mean, they got ringtones on their phones, and they jamming in class. I mean, and in the office meet, and they acting like they tough boys because they was tough boys. They just happened to get enough money where they was able to invest in the business.
Them boys straight out of New Jersey.
Yeah, I mean, they the COO now. Yeah, I mean, they the chief of operations. Yeah, I mean, they don't really do much. They they just make sure they not doing crazy shit that mess up the money. You know what I mean? So like, it's everybody at some point, everybody gets out of that at some point, it's America. That's the American way, if you're in the grind from the bottom, you gotta get yourself to the top. You ain't gonna shave off what got you there. You're gonna try to just, lessen it a little bit.
I mean, you can't.
But for everybody in society, they should also have that ability to be not worried about any of that shit at all. Yeah, I mean, to not have to be a corrupt person. Yeah, I mean, to be like, sneaky, a hustler, running game. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to do that. Yeah, I mean, you could just live a life and think that, I can just do my job and I get my pay. I can hang with the white women and no cops is going to harass me. Yeah, I mean, I can do the normal life. Yeah, I mean, I can live a happy.
My thing is this, right? So in life, I get that, but in a corporate structure that's set up by a corporation, right? There needs to be an environment that's inclusive of all of us, right? I shouldn't have to code switch to make my white counterparts feel comfortable.
Right.
I shouldn't have to do that, right? I should just authentically be able to be me. But the reality of it is, we can't do that in the corporate environment.
And
We're
now,
going to have to be
now
able
what
to
about
assimilate.
this?
We're going to
What
have to be
happens
able to assimilate to
when
that culture. Go ahead.
white people code? You know, they'll try to code switch too, but then it becomes
They overcompensate.
it becomes
They're
offensive.
but they're overcompensating. Right?
Yeah.
It's overcompensation. They think that that's a way to relate to us.
Like,
And the
what's up,
reality of
bro?
it is, no, but
bro.
exactly. No,
Give
but
you
the
the
reality
five.
of it is, but this is the other thing. This is the other thing I think sometimes gets lost to me in white America, right? The black diaspora is very, very wide. We have a lot of black people from a lot of different backgrounds, cultures. I hate to say it, there's black people that are rich. There's black people who have money.
Exactly.
A lot of the black people, we come from the suburbs.
Exactly.
A lot of us, see, the narrative is black people come, we're all from the inner city, we're all broke, we all came up hard.
Yeah.
That's
the wire.
Y'all came from the wire. You live in Baltimore.
Exactly.
Well, did you have drugs in your house? I mean, so these are the questions that permeate a lot of times in these cultures versus the really understanding the wide diaspora of what black people is. Because I understand the wide diaspora, what there is for white people. I understand there's broke white people and rich white people. I understand there's trailer trash white people and not.
Right.
But they're not seeing that diaspora of black people, and that's what's happening in these corporate cultures.
And
I think that a part of what it is too is that why we experience this, right, is that we all, especially I would say as men, we tend to be a little bit more cognizant of that there's like a low level threat that we always have to be aware of when it comes to just dealing with each other, especially and it happens within a corporate environment where people try to come up with different ways to deal with that. You follow what I'm saying? So the way that they try to deal with the idea that, and it's like on a basic human level, you know what I mean? If you strip down, you know, how civilized the world has become, you feel what I'm saying? We take it back to its bare bones. Some people may not believe in it, but take it back to its bare bones where we were in, you know, the whole hunter-gatherer state and stuff like that. It's survival of the fittest. You know what I'm saying? There's a dominance hierarchy. And because of how, you know, the undercurrent of America is, you know, that racism is very prevalent because it was based on that. You know, the low level threat that we perceive amongst each other, especially as men, we see that people try to deal with it in different ways, but they try to cope with it with trying to be too chummy or trying to be too friendly. Some people may cope with it with trying to be too suspicious of something. You follow what I'm saying? So the thing is, though, because of how things are set up with us, we have to be extra aware of it because of that low level of violence, that low level of threat that people perceive from us. Oftentimes, we've seen through history has escalated to the point where it's been to our demise. You feel what I'm saying? And because of that, the reason why, you know, people need diversity coaches and all that stuff is because amongst us, be it that we share in with that experience, that adds to the relatability that we have that could sometimes seem like it shuts other people out. You follow what I'm saying? And you know, that's a part of the reason why we have this whole thing. Like even going back to the article, why this happened is that it really just comes down to it was the low level threat that someone perceived that escalated into something else. You know what I mean? But
because the reality of it is, right. So I was like reading the article. They said someone called in that, you know, the guy was looked at a place. See, that's the issue. To them, in their mind, it can't comprehend that a black male could be in this environment. That's the issue. Because think about it. He's on Google's campus, right? He's there. I'm sure he's not the first time he's been there. So what happened that specific day for a person to call in that specific day and say something's happening with this person? You see what I'm saying? They don't see it as, you know, maybe he's just here for this. Where versus our white counterparts, they get that same benefit of the doubt, and we don't. But this is in a corporate environment, and that's the issue that I'm having with it. And this is one of the issues why personally I decided to build out a company, because I wanted to be an all-inclusive environment where there can be black people, white people, whatever the case is, and we all understand what's there, and it's not going to be this where it's going to be this way or that way. we're all of our backgrounds are included.
Yeah. It'll forever be a thing that's going to be stamped out, because even as the ideology of, I don't want to say necessarily just say racism, but like prejudice in general, even that ideology, as it spreads out and gets thinned, there'll still be little pieces of it here and there that'll have to continuously be stamped out. I think it's really how you stamp it out at the end of the day, how you deal with it one by one, like, because it's always going to hit you somewhere at some point. And that's in any, because everybody feel like they're oppressed these days. So
yeah,
so, like,
that's like the new thing. Like, my people done gone through. Everybody.
People are everybody's on that.
And it was interesting about
Yeah.
I know we can stay on this all day, but I'm like, it makes me think that like going to that point that you said, Mike, that everybody kind of like they try to co-op struggle, so they can.
Yes.
And in a sense that it makes them feel valid for being able to challenge you on your position and say, oh, well, I've had, because my people had struggles too, but it's, it's different because, I mean, how often you never really hear about, an Asian man, or even Indian man being stopped in pro. It just doesn't happen, because again, how the picture is painted for our folks is that, it's not just a low level. I was saying that low level threat, but it's not. The picture has been painted for us that it's not low level at all. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, prove that you're not a threat, and then you'll be fine.
I think it's gotten to the point now where, like I said, I think people are going to have to understanding that there's a wide diaspora of Black people out here. We're not monolith. We're not monolith. We're not just this one thing. And I think with society, with other societies, within Asian, within white, within whatever societies, we understand that there's a whole different types of people in there. But we get to be quite frank, we get stereotyped by our worst, right? While the rest of everybody is shown by their best, and we're often compared from their best to our worst. When the reality of it is, if you take any black person and give them the same opportunities and benefits of anyone else, not only will they equal them, they'll exceed. They'll succeed. They'll even excel even past that. Look how many African immigrants come here from Africa and come directly here and are super geniuses that come out and are
just to be chastised by the security at Google.
Just to be chastised by the security. Just to be chastised by the security. Yeah. So that's my point. You know what I'm saying? They're not, and people overall aren't seeing that.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
We're never going to solve it, but we gotta break it down, and that's the way we got to.
It's not going to be solved overnight, but you have to break it down for what it is, and you know that's, like I said, not a surprise. It's pretty much norm.
Let's so meet Astro. Amazon just unveiled its new home robot that can follow you around. Anybody else
creepy already?
Yeah, I'm gonna spread it out for the smart home people. Y'all into this? Y'all not into this?
I mean, I'm with it. I just, you remember when we was going over the article when we first started, and before we actually started, I was telling you about Love, Death, Robots. How we in it. Because of maybe the sci-fi stuff I watch, my mind always goes to like robots taking over stuff. But it gave me that it just reminded me of the episode where. Yeah, like robots, like AI that controlled, like they were supposed to be the help for everything, and it's like the help they had other parts of it where it was like I don't want to spoil. I know you said you haven't watched or y'all haven't watched it, but pretty much the vacuum cleaner and like the street sweepers like started to try to kill the people that lived in the town. They was on the run forever from the machines.
Wasn't but like I'm not old lady or something.
Yeah. Old lady that she had the blicky on her, but But I know that's seems far fetched from where I don't think Amazon is putting any type of
kill order.
Emergency to take kill order, emergency deterrence in their machine. It's probably something simple. I mean, they probably have they haven't done it yet. Give it another 50 years, and you never know. But I think it's just when it comes to stuff like this, it's a win. And Amazon doing what they do best, which is, I think at this point, developing what they're now, I think, doing is developing good consumer tech because Amazon by nature is a consumer company, right? I don't think they're like a they didn't start off like government based, like handling anything. We had we've done several articles about the beef that Amazon has with Microsoft, but this article here shows really what they're really about is that they're coming up with things that just is for people to it fits into the, I would say, eventually the average person's life. You know what I mean?
What about you, Wayne? Do you subscribe to the smart home ethos and all this?
You know what? I kind of do like the smart home stuff, because I do have some smart home stuff in my house. Like I have the smart thermostat. We have our our alarm system is connected to our Wi-Fi, so I can check stuff, and I can turn the alarm from my phone and stuff like that. So some of it, like, I think the personal robot stuff is going a little bit on the other end of it, especially for this $1,000 they talking about.
Yeah.
Especially for that.
I was just thinking about. I didn't even read how much it costs. I was just thinking, like, why isn't like our robot on this? The Roomba.
Yeah,
they got the Roomba. Why hasn't the Roomba put a screen and a camera on it yet? It basically is.
Don't worry, it's probably coming. But I mean, it's cool. I mean, it's cool tech. You know what I'm saying? I think it's cool to have it. I don't know how much it will catch on, but it's cool tech. I mean, Amazon's doing what Amazon does, trying to kind of do cool stuff. So
it kind of creeps me out ultimately. I mean,
so you believe in the kill robots?
Yeah, I mean, it's not even the kill robot. It's like it's the kill person. You know what I mean? It's like if somebody doesn't, if this is an Internet of thing, if it's always connected and it's always getting its updates where you don't even have to think about it, you don't have to upload anything to it, no new firmware updates and all of that, then it's a possibility that it's okay. The only people that you really ought to trust is Amazon. But if it's something that you gotta make sure you update using your smartphone, for the people that are like, they just got money, but they don't really know what they buying. If they just take this thing at home and they never update it, never do any security protocols for it, like this could be a nightmare for people. I mean, it could, because it got a camera on it for one. So not only that it could follow you around, you can follow anybody around in your house, particularly like your kids, because it'll mostly probably spend time with your kids because there's like a low to the ground camera and stuff like that. But it also has like a extended camera that pops up to sit like maybe 3-4 feet high.
Wow.
Small camera, so that you can see like over the counter or something. Like one of the examples that they showed in the video was that it rose up and was able to see if you left the gas stove, the gas knobs on. So
right.
That's just
I don't trust it, man.
Yeah, that's just creepy enough. Where like if you don't pay attention, it could just pop up. It could be somebody else controlling it. Maybe they hopped on your Wi-Fi. It.
Then it's not seeing if the stove is on. They're trying to see, or the stove off. Somebody cut it on. Yeah,
exactly. They're trying to see if you're home.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many different stuff that you can. Like, there was another story a few years ago where they had one of those smartphone video cameras in a young girl's room, and a guy figured out how to hack it. And he sat there for weeks looking at her, and one day he figured out how to get the voice stuff working, and he actually reached out and said, "Hey," and she was like, "Who is this?" And then they were actually having a conversation back and forth, and then they had to rip out. So I think the technology is cool, like it's there, but it might be going a little bit too far.
Yeah, it's definitely, they have the thing, almost same situation that you're talking about, Wayne, where they actually have people, and this is something that I'm a little bit on edge with my I don't even know if I should be whatever, but they were hacking into kids' cameras and watching kids, which is like, I feel like the next, it takes another level of creepiness and weirdness to do something like that. But it's
I'm not even. I'm. It's funny. I see not 8 or 9 year olds with cell phones. I'm like, what you need? What you 8 and 9? What you need a cell phone for? I mean, I don't
get it.
I don't understand it. My son is 6, right, and his friends, his playmates, they have a phone. I'm like, who they calling?
Right.
I mean,
Only thing you need to remember is my number.
I'm giving my kids
number.
a CD player. Treat it like a record player.
I don't even understand, but that's that's some parents where we're going, and it's one of those things. But yeah, kind of creepy. But
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But I'm not spending the G on it though. That G.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. G ain't. That's
I'm not spending that G.
Yeah,
nah,
it gotta do like 5 more things.
500, maybe like 500, and doing a bunch more things. Maybe, but for that G,
it can keep you. It can hand you a bed. I'll tell you that much. It won't. Like you still gotta have somebody take it out the fridge, put it in the robot.
Hey,
and
my wife can do
to
that.
You.
Bruh.
Yeah, man.
Hey, my wife can do that.
If they want to get that G stack out of me, that joint better be a killer robot, man. That's it.
Not that, they're not coming off of that G.
Got 4 minutes. So next topic is about Facebook putting Instagram for Kids on hold after pushback. This is basically about the issue that we kind of stepped on a little bit last week about how Facebook essentially was exposed that they did research on the idea of how Instagram and Facebook actually is manipulative to the development of children, and how it actually hinders their thinking and what their thought process and how they view themselves, their self-esteem and stuff like that. But they sort of they buried that idea. They didn't expose it, but it came out, and now because of that, they feel like they should probably put this Instagram for Kids on hold. They had a Facebook Messenger back in 2018, and they were told to put that on hold because they just had issues anyway. People spying on information, taking that information, finding out that that your information wasn't as secure as it was after the 2016 elections. Once they realized that happened, so like they already got pushback on creating these kids apps, but they they're going into it deeper with this Instagram because Instagram is the real one. Like that's the one that will suck you in for hours. Like Facebook does it, but Instagram does it a lot better. It's
Instagram
like
is memeville, man. That's what it is.
Yeah,
Instagram is Stockville.
That's I was actually about to say that.
You actually scroll. You like, hold up, wait a second. Where this ass coming from?
And that's what I was about to say. That's the reason why it's not good for kids, man, because our children actually have, from the irresponsibility of adults, our kids have gained access to these things to see what the culture is like, and then you think about what Instagram has enabled. It's enabled the whole like status apparatus culture, right? Where it's perceived that when people try to live their lives or base their own life, their progression or reach, whatever the case is, off of what they see on these things. And like you said, we've seen studies about how social media has affected people in such a way where it's really starting to change on a real level, starting to change how people think. So you give something like that to a child where they're already they're in like that alpha state where their mind is like developing, and they give them the same type of issues that adults can't even handle. It's just not even a good idea. I think that these things, I feel like they come from a place of someone trying to stretch the company to a place where they're able to make more money. That's how I always think of it. It's like if you think about if you're able to tap into the kids market, there's no telling what type of stuff they can get from that, ads and stuff they can sell and stuff like that. But I think it's too much of a moral issue. Like you should not be in some of the free range parents out there may feel otherwise, but I feel like that's stupid anyway. But kids should not have access. Just at the end of the day, children should not have access to the same things that adults have access to. And if adults are already having issues with this thing, what do you think is going to happen with children?
There's no way the kids need to have kids Instagram for kids. Yeah, it's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Yeah. It's dumb. It's dumb as all bricks. It's dumb as all bricks. Yeah. I mean, I just don't get. It just physically doesn't make any sense. Man, I mean,
we already see
what the belief is. The belief. It's what the belief is versus what actuality is. Because the belief is that kids are already on Facebook. They're already on Instagram. If they could build a kid's version of it and let the parents control it, then they can have more say over what the kids do on there and what they, censorship and stuff like that. But it's the parents that's putting them on the original Instagram and
the
Facebook in the first place.
parents aren't going to control it.
Yeah, and they not, that's what I'm saying. They're not going to control it.
They're not going to control it. They're like, well, what we're going to do is we're going to stop the kids because the parents going to have to get permission. Okay, please. A kid's just going to fake like he's older.
Yeah,
he's going to go on the app, turn it on, and that's it.
Bro, how you think we was playing those video games when you was younger? That, you know, everybody say, of course, it's going to say. See, the thing when they say the whole is supposed to be mature 18 plus. That's just for to cover the company's ass. You know what I mean? Like they know the children will get access to stuff, man. My brother said that his son, this is the reason why this stuff is bad. He was like, I mean, we had to talk. He was like, man, he had to really take the phone, like shut all that stuff down with the kids. They was on the hub. And I'm well, you know, that's know, so you think about like on just with the whole instant again with the culture is right. We already see this. I already go through my feed and sometimes see disturbing videos of little girls trying to twerk. Now you give them their own platform to do something like that. That's ridiculous.
Exactly. In your feed, I just watched that a second ago here in Panera. right. I'm literally on camera watching a little girl twerk. What you talking about? Your feet? Man. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you can't stop.
So my thing is this. You know, if I get it, you want to try to do something for kids or whatever the case is. I understand it conceptually, but they're not really thinking this all the way through. You know, you're already giving kids are already gonna look at this and try to mimic their lives on what they see. Let's say another kid takes a picture and thinks they're a super fly, whatever the case is. Another kid's gonna feel bad because they don't have that lifestyle or perceive that perceived lifestyle. That's already happening with Instagram to grown adults. Imagine giving this information to kids. It's a horrible idea, and they're a right to pull it. They need to just go ahead and pull it because it doesn't. It's not. It's. I understand. You know, Facebook's whole thing. If they're the social media and they made this. But they just need to let it go. They just need to let it go.
If they really want to protect the children, they would make it more of a harder requirement to get access to Facebook and Instagram. Like require ID or some shit. Like you gotta have some. You gotta be vetted.
You gotta be over 18. Yeah.
Like some true verification though. You know, because right now it's already you gotta be over 13, over whatever. You just say okay. I mean, get sent to your email. It's okay. It's whatever, verified. But like, if you really wanted to make it a place for adults, you would have to verify adults, and they don't
put your social in. And if your you know what I mean, your social was under the age is under 13, you can't get on here.
And then that's when you talk about the government stepping in, man. We ain't doing that.
So, I mean, the government's already stepping in with Facebook, but that's a different topic.
And that's what I'm saying.
That's a different topic.
They're gonna have to get regulated, and then the money get lost. So they want to keep the money. So that's the problem.
They want to keep the money. Yeah. So.
What topic? You got time for one more topic? They got you for one more topic.
You got one more topic. I ain't come over here tackle me yet. So keep going.
Last topic that we got is about Microsoft winning the U.S. antitrust case to OK $16 billion purchase Nuance.
There you go. Yeah. The Bill Gates boys. Let's
go. Nuance is. I'm trying to
get that long money, boy. Woo.
Yeah, they said Nuance is artificial intelligence and speech company. They basically trying to retry this Cortana thing. You know, they had Cortana for a while. That was supposed to be that answer to Siri, the Google Assistant, Amazon Alexa, but it never fell through. Nobody adopted it. Nobody liked it, and
it sucked.
It sucked. It basically sucked. It's basically sucked. And then it got to a point where it became so bad that they actually like made it a part of Alexa. It was like Cortana acts as Alexa, and Alexa will find the answer and give it back to Cortana. And it was like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Like, so they stopped that and they started over, and this is their attempt to start over. But you know, it was potentially an issue because since they already have this artificial intelligence branch, for them to go and try to buy this other company to, you know, advance it, it seems sort of like an antitrust thing where you're trying to buy up all the parts of the industry.
Yeah.
And they already, you know, it's Microsoft. They're the only company that fell short to antitrust so far back in 2000. So they the ones that, you know, when it comes to regulations, rules, they're slow because they gotta cross their T's and dot their I's because they've been through it before. They the only one that been on probation. I mean, everybody else, they still just running from the law right now. So,
they out on bail.
yeah,
they out on bail. Basically,
that's what I
they out
mean.
on bail.
Yeah, like. What do y'all think of this with Microsoft trying to get into this because they're trying to get back?
I like the idea. You know, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe the whole idea of Cortana came from Halo.
Yeah,
right?
Yes,
it came from Halo.
It came from Halo.
Right,
Yeah, it was
right.
from the Halo
So
games.
I mean, being that I'm a gamer, I was feeling the move because I'm like, the idea that Microsoft is trying to integrate, like shed more light on our universe. You feel what I'm saying? The game, I'm like, that's dope. But for whatever reason, we know the reasons why it fell short. So I think that with Microsoft,
short for me because they didn't bring real Cortana. I was expecting a little blue hologram to come up by
right.
that
I did. Yeah,
and be
facts,
like,
facts.
"Hello, Michael." But she ain't never do that. It was just a little circle.
Yeah, that was that was go ahead.
And to top it off, it wasn't even that. It sucked. You tried to use it, it didn't do anything you wanted. You tried to do it, it wouldn't open up the app right. I was like, this sucks. Take this off.
Exactly.
I just take it. I think I tried it when Windows, I think it was Windows 10 first came out. I tried it for I think I tried it for 10 minutes, and then I was like, okay, delete this. And then I think I went and found something online where I can permanently take it off. And I just permanently took it off, and I've never played with it again.
Yeah.
So I think that's what happened with most people. And I understand the technology and what they're trying to do, but in the PC space, it just doesn't make sense. It makes much more sense on your phone with Google Assistant because a lot of times, you need to be your phone hands-free. A lot of times you're in your car, so it makes more sense. But on a PC aspect, to really have voice control, it doesn't really make sense.
It gave me the same. So I like I said, the idea of it is cool because I like Cortana, and it gave me reminiscences of those Halo days, but it kind of reminded me of now on Microsoft Office, you don't see that little figure, like that little pin clip. Was it a pin clip or like a note that would come up with the eyes?
Like a little pin
they'd be
clip,
talking and trying to tell you different things. Yeah, it was just it fell within that same vein of like something that was unnecessary. To just at the end of the day, it's you're trying to do too much. It's almost like the you're trying to iterate on something that's already deemed complete. Now I think what they're doing here with going with Nuance and with the acquisition is just I think they're in a better spot because of what they've been able to produce. And I was gonna say with just the history of Microsoft, I feel like in my humble but honest opinion, I feel like when it comes to them having to bounce back from something, they've probably, like you said, they bounce back from the whole antitrust thing. So their resilience when it comes to certain things they're working on, I think is probably best amongst the tech giants. And I mean, I'm excited to see what comes of this. I really feel like they're just going to rename it Cortana and be like, boom, she came back. I just really hope that they give her the body, the little blue figure, because if you do that, you know what I mean, or like say for instance, like
they lost a lot of brand recognition. They lost a lot of brand recognition. Like they knew, people knew from 2000 who Cortana was, if you ever heard of Xbox. And they had 20 years of brand recognition that they just threw down the toilet when they just made it a circle.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I was gonna say that if they choose to come out with a Windows phone again, right? If you say like Cortana, like something like that, and then she pops up from what we remember, I'm like, okay, I can vibe with that. Like they get into like the smart home space where you see that, and her voice is the same as what it was.
Yeah,
I can vibe with that.
Yeah, that's a good idea coming up with in the smart home space. If Microsoft did something in the smart home space with Cortana, that would be a cool idea. I think having that voice with there and because a lot of the people that remember Halo from the early 2000s, now of us are adults now with kids,
that's
so we connect with that. So I think that would actually be a good space for them to use Cortana in the home automation network system.
I think that would work. I seen something on Google when they were talking about that same thing with like voice commands on your desktop or your phone. Like the issue has always been like there's a difference between voice commands and artificial intelligence, and trying to repeat to like a device saying like open notepad, and all it's trying to do is really recognize the voice of open notepad and recognize that as a command versus an artificial intelligent like algorithm that understands speech and understands what you're asking for. They with like Android, they've been talking about how, you know, they're putting tensor chips in their devices so that the chip itself can recognize, like, can do artificial intelligent calculations. So like it can resolve something like that a lot easier when you say, like, you know, call such and such. I mean, leave a note for somebody, leave a message for something.
It's not a 10-second delay because it has to be sent up to the cloud and come back.
It's
like
right on the device.
Call Mike Baker, then like a half a millisecond later, you want to find.
And you're not just using regular CPU to try to figure that out. Like you got the processing there, and that could come back. And they would still need to have like a software development arm to be able to handle that. So I could see Microsoft buying them out just to say, we're just going to create a branch altogether just for AI and AI-driven responsibilities, you know, in the cloud or on device. They're becoming so big of a cloud company that, you know, on device is kind of becoming secondary.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I think if they did it really with home automation, I think that would be really cool. I think it would more work. So yeah.
Unless you have the thing where, and this is more situational, but there's times where, for instance, I'm trying to like upload a video or something I may have forgot, and I can say like on my phone, like, hey, Cortana, like upload the video from my joint, and it actually is able to, it goes to my PC and then does all the functions. Now that would be, you know, that's next level. You know what I mean? But
there's layers. There's layers. They got to know about both devices. They got to know about both files. I mean, it's a lot.
Google they need to really mimic how Google really handled it. Google does a great job with doing their voice recognition, and like you said, they're in the new Google Pixel phones. I think it's Pixel 5. They're doing the tensor chips now that don't have to do the voice recognition. It doesn't go up to the cloud. The computing inside the chips is fast enough.
Yeah, the 6 is coming out with the tensor chip. They've been testing it on like the 5 and 5A type stuff.
Right. So so I think what's happening is it's quick enough to now understand real voice patterns and use some AI in there. I think that's the way. I think that's what Microsoft's trying to do. So
Microsoft got enough enterprise that they capable of still doing it. Yeah, they can make a lot of moves in the private sector more than you know Google has been able to.
Yep.
But I think that's it, ladies and gentlemen. You know, if you like the show, you know, I'm gonna hit you with the spiel because I usually don't hit y'all with the spiel. If you like the show, find us on any one of your broadcasting services, your podcasting services. I don't know about broadcasting services; those things need to die out. But for your podcasting services, you can find us on any one of those. You know, the iTunes, Apple, Google, all that, Stitcher. You might have some third party, you know, random podcast feeder. It'll crawl and find us. So whatever your podcast reader is, find us. If you don't feel like doing none of that, you can just go to bohemia.media, https://bohemia.media, or you can just type in bohemia.media in Google and you'll find us on that also. Because you know we indexable, baby. Mike, as always, got anything to say before we
you mean you pretty much covered everything, man. I do want to say this though. I know so just throw this out there. We got like a whole gaming segment thing coming. Yeah. So I want you all to stay tuned with that. We tech boys, so we always want to talk about tech stuff, but I think you all look out for that. It's some great stuff gonna be coming your way soon with that. But as far as what we got going with Bohemia Tech Talk, y'all, like everything that Mike said, I second it.
Again, Wayne, where can they find you? Where they can catch you?
They can catch me kind of pretty much anywhere most of the time. You know, go to sdagency.net. That's the main site. I'm living on LinkedIn nowadays. I'm on LinkedIn all the time. So you just catch me just type in Wayne S. Stewart on LinkedIn. You also find me at Twitter. Find me on Twitter, same thing at Wayne Stewart. I'm there all the time. That's where you can find me.
All right, man. I appreciate you coming on. Hopefully we have you on again. Mike, it's always a pleasure. From the people out there listening, y'all be safe out there. It's a pleasure for y'all listening to us. You know, we just be talking to ourselves if y'all ain't listening. So thank you for listening and be safe out there. Y'all take it easy and I guess good day. Top of the morning. Top of the morning. It's top of the afternoon. Take it easy, people.
Peace.